Hello, I'm Mayor Brian Curran. The program that you're about to watch is a program that was produced by the Lynbrook Health and Wellness Committee in cooperation with Lynbrook TV. The program was filmed at Hewlett House on East Rockaway Road in Hewlett. The program will feature Mrs. Jane Grogan, who is not only a Lynbrook resident but also a member of the Lynbrook Health and Wellness Committee, along with Geri Barish, who is an executive director of the Hewlett House. So for anybody who doesn't know, the Hewlett House is a non-for-profit organization that helps to provide support for not only people with cancer, but their families as well. I hope you find the following program not only informative, but helpful for any of those families who might be experiencing a relative who currently is inflicted with cancer. Again, I want to thank the Health and Wellness Committee for all their efforts in trying to inform the residents of Lynbrook on this topic. And I also want to thank the members of the Lynbrook TV station who took the time out to film this program. And of course, I want to thank Mrs. Geri Barish for taking the time to speak with us here and create this program. So I hope you enjoy the following program. I know it's informative, and again, thank you.
Hello, my name is Jane Grogan. I'm a member of Mayor Curran's Health and Wellness Committee in Lynbrook, and I'm at Hewlett House in Hewlett, New York, with Geri Barish, the Executive Director. Geri's been Executive Director since 1997, and she's also a breast cancer survivor herself. Geri, I'm thrilled to be here with you. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. I'm thrilled that you're here.
Tell me a little bit about Hewlett House, since its inception back in, was it 1998?
It started, we actually took the deed in 1998. The Hewlett family deeded this house to the Hewlett School District for educational purposes, and it's really a museum, 308 years old.
Wow.
And it was quite an incredible, deplorable shape, so to speak. And so Bruce Blakeman, who was the head of the legislature at the time, was contacted by the school district and said, we just can't keep up. Can you do something? Bruce called me, and we had worked on breast cancer issues over a period of time, and said, if I gave you a building, what would you do? And in my mind, I'm thinking of a building, not of, well, anyway, they purchased the house for $1, and 1 in 9, which is so like the grandmother of this place, took over the house. It took us about 5 years to actually raise the funds through a capital project for its restoration. Very quickly, the history of this house, I wanted something in a home environment without actually doing any medical procedures. We wanted people to be able to walk in here, not just with breast cancer, but all cancer, not turn anyone away, in a home environment with arms that await you. We can't take the disease away, but we can certainly get you into the right pathway of going on with your life. People need to get back in the mainstream. So that was our thought. The place was really in deplorable condition, and we had to start there. And interestingly, the gal who did the asbestos removal from the outside and paint removal was a cancer survivor from Chernobyl.
Oh boy.
The gentleman who did all of the painting in this house was volunteering his services from the Painters Union, and he was undergoing chemotherapy for leukemia. So everyone who sort of had a finger in this house was affected in some way by cancer, and you could see we sat for many thousands of hours looking at the type of furniture we wanted, the colors we wanted. We sat here and said, okay, I was just diagnosed, or I have this cancer. What is it that we want to feel, what we're looking at, what the colors of the walls? And we went to Bethpage Restoration and looked at the period of time and some of the things that were going on. And very fortunately, everyone was incredible. We got everything donated. the house was built, and before it was completed, we received a knock on the door from someone who said, can I come in? My mother has brain cancer, and I know you breast cancer, we don't know where to go. And I think that was just, you know, this lady came in and that was it. So under restoration, we were able to really help people. It's education, outreach. We have many support groups. All of our social workers, we are very fortunate, volunteer their time. We have private counseling with social workers that volunteer their time. We have many different projects that go on. We work with all of the schools because we've dedicated this house to the next generation. And so the kids are most important for us to be part of their life and what they need to know in order to take care of themselves.
So Geri, all of your services are free of charge to
All of
those
the
that come?
Yeah, all of the things that we do here, all of the services, all of the bras, the wigs, the hats, the bathing suits, anything that we have in this house is given away at no charge. We work with someone who opens their warehouse who has designer eyeglass frames, and we bring our patients in. They're fitted for new frames. We take them to one of the doctors who give them free eye exams. He puts the lenses in at no charge. We work with the county and their prescription drug. We make sure, and we do that. We work with the pharmaceuticals, and if you can't get your drugs, we work to see that you do get your drugs. We work with a group of attorneys pro bono, so that if there's a serious situation, whether it's job discrimination or medical or legal issue, insurance issue, they will take your case at no charge.
That's incredible, because people at that time should not be worrying about financial issues. It's enough just to worry about the medical end of it. So
Exactly,
that's great.
exactly.
That's really great.
And one of the important things that we do here as well, besides the times that there's a lot of tears, it's we do have days where we lose people, and we are a family here. We invite their family for a breakfast, for a service, and we invite their clergy because it's important. Sometimes family wants to know that closure and what that person has done. We've had a baby shower here. We're having another baby shower in 2 weeks. We've had memorial services and happy times. There's lots. We take it all in as part of who you are and what you are. And it doesn't matter where you come from. We don't ask if you have insurance. We don't ask if you have money. We don't. To us, when you walk in that door, you are a person. And it doesn't matter. We treat you, we have all people from all different backgrounds, from all different ethnics, and we service the 5 boroughs as well as, all of our county, several states. We just want to be there. We've walked in those shoes, a lot of us. We're a very small staff. We're only 4 people on staff. The rest are all volunteers.
I think the thing that struck me when I came here the first time was it just felt like being in somebody's house. I walked through, I took everything in. I looked at all the pictures all around the walls. The Afghans, I remember asking you about that. Why so many Afghans?
There's a wonderful lady, and as I told you in that time, Aunt Irene. I don't know who Aunt Irene is. We've never met her, but we'll find a plastic bag hanging on the front door, and we know there's an Afghan in there, and it says, "Love Aunt Irene." Probably there was either herself or someone in her family, but these Afghans, when you're on treatment, you're cold. We want people to come in here and just jump on the furniture and relax, and they'll wrap themselves up in the Afghans. We have bedroom slippers that have been donated to us, so if the weather is bad and feet are wet, they put on the bedroom slippers. You hit it. It's a home. This is a home. You see pictures throughout the house. Those pictures of people, of our support groups, of our social workers, of our families, people who donated here, people who work here. We want it to be a home away from home. As I said, we can't take your cancer away. We can't. But we can do everything else to get you to the next level and take away the fears and anguish The people that come here they're incredible, because we've had people who couldn't even speak, who put their houses in order, and they come here, and it's just, you see the difference. We see the kids that come in from the schools to do their community service. We find projects for them that will help them, understand the issues as well as them doing the service that they need to graduate. And if they can't come here, then we give it to them and they'll bring it back. We work with all of the colleges, which are phenomenal, One of the colleges next week, every year, they have a basketball game and they play against the teachers. And they sell raffles and do all kinds of baking to raise funds for the organization. Another college brings 21 colleges from around the country to play volleyball all day. We go down there, we spend the day, we educate the girls on, the benefits of self-breast exam and all of this stuff while they raise funds. They come down and do plantings. One of the schools, in their gym shop, they have decided to build a gazebo. And at the end of this month, that gazebo is being delivered. It's 600 pounds.
Wow.
And it's going into a memorial garden, and they're going to plant around that. There's always something that's going on.
Now, you just hit on something that I'd like to go to.
Sure.
So let's talk about the importance of mammographies and screening, and also knowing your family history.
Knowing your family history is one of the most important things. You hit on a bullet point. Most important, because through research we know so much more today than we did even when I was first diagnosed. I mean, we know about genetics, which we had no idea. When the issue of breast cancer first really hit Long Island in the late 80s, the statistics were so high because no one really understood what that word statistic meant, where you were diagnosed, if you had it in the family. They only studied 25% of people with breast cancer who had someone in their family that was part of what we call the risk factors. And so they knew nothing about the other 75%. No one knew how to study them. Through genetics, we know that there are genes called BRCA1 and BRCA2. There now are genes for ovarian. You can look at those things. You can be tested. The one point I want to bring out that's very important, if you're someone who knows nothing about your family, if you're an adopted individual, you need to treat yourself as if you are in some kind of a risk, where your screening is very important. Mammography is extremely important. It's not the answer to everything, because mammography, there is a 15 to 19% false negative, but not every lump is cancerous. It's very important to be screened. The new protocol today is mammography and sonogram. Because we have so many people in histories, and because there are so many younger people, this used to be a disease of over 60 or 50. Well, today we have women in their early 20s and 30s who have the disease, and we're finding through genetics that there is a history of not just the Ashkenazi Jews, that's another situation, but when you look at a mom or a dad even, that there's different kind of cancers in their family, not just breast cancer, correlating cancers to breast cancer. We suggest that they go for the gene testing to see. All this does is put them in a situation where they need to be screened a little bit differently. They need to be screened more than normal.
Right.
Doesn't mean that they're going to get the disease. It's just a precautionary thing, and it reduces your risk of, today you hear about prophylactic mastectomies because people have the genes.
Well, it gives them the choice if they
right,
wanted to.
But that's you have a choice,
right,
where we didn't have choices before. So knowing your history is very, very important, and knowing the different types of cancers, if there are on both sides of the family, what they are. Because, and I'm going to go back to breast cancer, because there may not be breast cancer in the family. There could be lung cancer, there could be colon cancer, there could be liver cancer. Other cancers that correlate to breast cancer, any cancer that is hormonal is correlated to breast cancer. And so that's very important for someone, both male and female, to know.
Take me to the steps. I've just come back from the doctor and I've been told I have breast cancer. What am I going to do? What are the important things I should be asking the physician, and about a second opinion? How important is that?
Oh, that's one of the most important decisions that you're ever going to make. We don't know why we get this disease. We can surmise maybe, you know, familial, because maybe someone in the family had it, or maybe we were in a situation where there was a chemical that maybe we were involved with. But when you have your mammography or you feel something and you go to the doctor, and they usually do a test, and then they will tell you that you have breast cancer. There's all kinds of breast cancer. That's number one. So that's why they go a little further and they do different testings, aggressive or not. You should always go with someone. You know, when you're hit with the news, it's that punch in the stomach. It's that your life goes by. Oh my God, the doctor is talking, and you really
can't absorb it
not
all.
exactly. You're not comprehending everything, because in your mind you just heard those words, breast cancer, and we know that breast cancer to us is life and death. It's not life and death anymore. We are living full, rich lives, but we need to get the message out about being screened. So the first thing is to make sure that you go with someone who's either able to take notes or can give you an opportunity of asking the right questions. No one that goes to the doctor to find out if they have the disease is ready to ask those questions. The type. What kind of surgery do you think I'm going to need? Do you think this is genetic, you know, or what about my children if you have children? What is the course of treatment? What is the course of surgery? I mean, you can ask all those things. Most important is to get a second opinion. Because he's going to tell you, or she, this is the type of cancer, you know, for your history. This is why your history is so important. They look at you in a broader picture. Now, you're, for instance, 40 years old. You've got a couple of children. Your mom had breast cancer, or there was another cancer on your father's side. You know all this. He knows all this. He will look at this. He'll look at your age. He will look at the kind of cancer you have, whether it's aggressive or not. He'll look at the family history, and then he'll recommend one of many different things. That's the information you need to take back with you. And then you need to go back and say to yourself, okay, I need to have a second opinion, because they're doctors, they're human beings, not everyone is perfect. And today, because of research, there are so many every minute there's a new discovery. Every minute there's something new that happens through research. You always need to make sure, once you've had the surgery, once you start your treatment, once you've done that, you can't make changes and say, well, I should have done this or I should have done that. You need to feel comfortable with yourself, your decision, that you're making the right decision. You can go for a third opinion as well. I mean, you need to have that comfort zone.
You need to be comfortable with the physician.
Exactly, and you need to be happy. If you say to your doctor, you know, doctor, I think I'd like a second opinion, and he says, well, why, or objects to it, this is not the guy for you. You also have the right to ask certain questions. You need to say to him as well, you know, doctor, you're talking about a mastectomy. Can you tell me, you know, how many mastectomies have you done? What's your success rate? He might laugh in your face and say, I don't know that. I don't have to tell you that. I would find myself another doctor, because that is an important question. You need to make sure that doctor is board certified. You need to see that up there, that he's board certified. Teaching hospitals are wonderful. There's no such thing as a breast cancer special. You know, you can't go to school to become a breast cancer surgeon. You become a general surgeon, and then you specialize. So there are coalitions like us. There's an incredible number that I live by, the 1-800, the number 4, and the word cancer, that you can call. And you can tell them your situation, and could they send you a list of doctors that specialize in this? The best thing is to talk to a coalition and people that have gone through what you're going through and ask them about their doctors. And make yourself an appointment and go for another opinion. I also have something called my cancer drawer. And that is, it is very important. You legally are and should have a copy of every test that you take, of your mammography. You can get the original. The cost can be no more by law, $25. If you want the original, because then they have to make the copy. The best thing is to get the original. Any pathology that you've had and any blood work. And so if you do go for another opinion, number one, you have it. And number two, if you decide to change a doctor, they can always go back and look at that.
And you're not waiting for them to send
Exactly.
copy and send the records.
Exactly.
Okay, so now you've gone through all that, and now you're having treatment, you've finished treatment, and they're barraging you with these drugs they want you to take now. Tamoxifen and the sister drugs. The jury is still out on all of that?
I don't know if the jury's still out, but I think that we go a little crazy with every day you read in the paper about studies that are being done. There are many new treatments and new drugs. One of the things you want to do is you want to go to a place that has state-of-the-art technology. You want to go to a hospital where you're being treated, or who's ever doing the surgery, that has all of the new technology and all of the doctors that are up on all of that. And coalitions, that's one of the things that we do best here. You also are going to be told either right after your surgery, because they'll do the lymph node, say, to see if it's gone outside the affected area. And then they'll be able to tell you what kind of treatments they feel is best for your type of cancer. So when we talk about the jury being out, it's about you. Everybody's body is different. Everybody is treated different. It's the aggression of the cancer, the history of the cancer, the type of surgery that you've had. Then we come back to tamoxifen, for instance, which has been a very controversial drug.
Has very bad side effects,
It
doesn't
has,
it?
yeah. It started out many years ago, pretty new, and this was the drug everyone went on for life. Then after a number of studies, they brought it down to 5 years. Now it's 2 years, because after enough research, we find after 2 years, it doesn't do the job that it was done. Tamoxifen was to help so that you don't get a recurrence. That was number one. You need to ask as a patient, can you tell me what are the side effects? And they'll put you into a computer, and they usually pop out this huge long list. And every drug that you take has some kind of a side effect. That doesn't mean you're going to get the side effects. Most doctors don't like to tell you because they think that we will right away think we're going to get this. Tamoxifen is known to cause endometrial cancer. It does have a tumor growth in it, but it also does some other tricks. They have found that through tamoxifen, through more research, there are other and better drugs that have come along. Femara and Arimidex, for instance. They are sister drugs to that. They also have side effects. So if one doesn't work, they'll put you on another drug. The most important thing is to read, to understand. If you have diabetes, you should never go on tamoxifen because it does cause blood clots. I mean, you have to be aware. None of us can be doctors. We know that. So if you're unsure, you need to call that 800 number, investigate, get materials on it, call coalitions. You need to question your doctor. Look, you know my history. This is my history. Is that drug in any way, what is it going to do for me? Today they treat very differently than they did years ago. Years ago, you would go in, you didn't even know if you were coming out with a breast or not.
Right.
I mean, that was it.
You signed
You signed it.
consent ahead of time,
That's right. and that was it. And so you didn't know. And most in those days, either you had cobalt or you had nothing. It depended upon the surgery. Today, even if you have a mastectomy, they put you on preventative medicine. It's called, I call it an insurance.
Right.
You know, a lot of people that go when they know they're coming off their medication, you become unnerved because, you know, in your heart you feel, but what's going to happen when I stop taking that? So those are the questions you need to be comfortable in asking your doctor. But new technology today in treatments, there are so many questions. Don't just pop the pill immediately. I want to go back to one thing if I can.
Go ahead.
When the doctor tells you that you need surgery, a lot of people think, I got to get this cut out right away. I've got to get the cancer out, and I've got to do this tomorrow, next week, book it, it's got to get done. Nothing is going to happen to you. If you always have a window of a week or two to 3 to make your decision. Think about this. A lot of people think, oh, once they cut, you know, the cells are running through all over, the air, all of this. There's a lot of old fishtails. And you need to have a comfort zone that it's not going to happen. You need to question everything. If you have a lump, that doesn't mean it's, you know, positive. There's a lot of, it takes 10 to 20 years sometimes for a lump to become palpable. So you might be walking around with something and not knowing it. This is why your history is so important. The new technology today, you heard, I'm sure, about the MRIs and the cost of MRIs, and insurance companies won't pay for it or they will, so on and so forth. An MRI can see behind so much that a mammography cannot, or a sonogram. And so depending upon your history and if you fit the criteria, one of the things that we do is we help to fight the insurance companies to get you covered. There's a number, if I might, you know, tell you about also. The Attorney General's office has just come out with an incredible bureau. It's called the Health Care Bureau. It's an 800 number, and what they do is if you're turned down and you feel you fit the criteria, or your doctor says, I don't understand why this is turned down, you need to get this. You call that number, someone will call you, and they will become your advocate.
Tell me about, how do you keep this place running? Where do you get your money?
I always say we beg a lot, we do.
And you know, with funding being cut, how is that affecting you now?
Everybody's grants are being cut somewhere along the line, and we always got some funding from New York State. The thing I always felt, which was very important, you know, when you have a government grant, you have to have, I'm going to use it for instance of $25,000 for a particular program or for whatever it is. You write your letter to your senator or assemblyman. Once all that process goes through, you have to have that money in the bank. You've got to spend that money first in order to voucher to get that money back. That's a long process. And not many of us have that kind of money, especially when what makes us unique is that we are a free service. And I don't want to change that. This is a house. Go home and look in the kitchen and all this salt and pepper we have to buy. There's, you know, it's the toilet paper that has to be, everything here is a different situation. So what we do is we go through, we've been very fortunate that for the last number of years we have received the Caregiver Award for New York State from Walbaum's, which is a grant, but it's a check. We have received for the last few years a wonderful grant from Macy's for caretaker and caregiver for the things that we do. We apply, we've received that. That's another foundation where, you know, there's a lot of foundation. There's fundraisers we do. There is estate planning. There's all different kinds of things that go on. And we have a very, very small part-time paid staff. When you're in a house like this, there's responsibilities. We pay the liability, we pay insurance, all of that. And so our staff works 3 days a week, volunteers the rest, and all the rest are volunteers. And that's how we survive. A lot of even the patients will come in. They'll bring a roll of paper towels. I mean, the schools are wonderful. They do paper drives for us. We're always sending letters away. Friendlies every October does a strawberry fribble event for us. The radio stations are fabulous. Any place that we could not have to go to government, we do. We do. Because we always feel that, you never know. And here we're in a situation, an economic crisis, and since 9/11, I think it's been horrendous, where a donation would come in before 9/11, and I'm going to use just say $100. So after 9/11 and tsunami and Katrina, it was down to maybe 25, and now maybe. But people are generous. We have our bins outside all over, which are wonderful. That helps to support us. Somehow we scrape along and we get along. It's not easy, but people are wonderful. Like I said, the schools and the colleges are really tremendous, and that helps a lot. We have our kitchen, but most importantly is the volunteers that come in here, and the social workers, and all of the programs. We have, tremendous programs, and every day another program comes along. And they do that at no charge. And these are people who come from hospitals and counseling centers, and you know what they're worth, and it's incredible.
We're outside on the grounds of Hewlett House in Hewlett, New York, with Geri Barish, the executive director. Geri, tell us a little bit about the grounds out here. There's a little statue of a boy and a girl, it looks like, back here, and
we have actually put all of the trees and plants and done all of the brickwork, which you'll see our Pathway of Hope, ourselves. It's taken us quite a long time. And there's a little boy and girl out there, and that's, if you read the inscription, that's really to the next generation, as I was talking about. One of the high schools, the kids built a gazebo, and it weighs over 600 pounds. They are delivering it here on a flatbed, and it's going to be placed in our memorial garden. I'd like to just point out, you see some kids' toys over there. We do get some children that come and they, play out here. We're hoping in another year to build a children's garden right out here. We do have some incredible trees when they're in bloom. One is planted in memory of Linda McCartney, wife of Paul McCartney. She passed away from breast cancer, and she was kind of our mentor because she was such a believer in the environment and organics, and did all the right things. And by doing all the right things, unfortunately, she did succumb to the disease. So she's really someone who's kept us going. We have a little plaque in there, and when that cherry tree is in bloom, it's magnificent. We also have several trees over there which are called 5-star trees. And this was another wonderful volunteer who also went through our support groups, who had passed away a number of years ago, and she left 5 sons, and they planted these trees that were called these 5 stars, and they all kind of, when they're in bloom, they all look at each other. And so we do have people that come down. Another wonderful person who came down, her family came down, and they planted that lilac tree, and if you look in front of it, there's a little animal and they made a plaque that's down there, and they come down in the summer and different things. And our Pathway of Hope, which is really what it's all about for us, we can walk onto that. These are 8,000 pink bricks that were placed in the center in the shape of the pink ribbon. In the center, we put in those 2 little children as a reminder that we want those children to grow and nurture, and this is what this house is all about, love, and like you said, it's about hope. And several of the Eagle Scouts came out and they built the bench, and a school came down and they built the little wishing well that's in the center. That is going to be our memorial garden. And in the center of that we're going to have to expand it a little, will go that gazebo. As a matter of fact, Temple Emmanuel, which I think is over in Lynbrook, they are delivering the kids made pillows for us, and they are delivering those pillows, and those pillows will be placed in that gazebo. So it's really all about community. Many people, I have to say, in Lynbrook have been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal to us. In the center there, the tulips are starting to come up, and we have wild blueberries in the back. This tree over here is over 300 years old, and it actually had a lookout from pre-Civil War. So there's a lot of history that has happened here, and it's just very nice to come out. Sometimes, our patients come out and sit, and when everything's in bloom and the butterflies are around and the birds, it just, you take a deep breath and you're just happy to be alive, and it's just incredible. We're turning the garage into a Victorian cottage because we need more room for outreach. And those bins over there are what really keeps this place going, because those bins, a lot of people throw their clothes and shoes and different things in there, and we get paid by how many bins are out. And this gentleman is incredible, because we have been able to help many people who are in need of clothing and furniture and shoes and things like that. And he goes into these bins and he takes things out by size, by gender, has them cleaned at his own expense, and deliver them to different people. So with that funding, that's another way of us funding. That's another way of us supporting our programs.
That's incredible, Geri. I've been here when the flowers have been in bloom back here. It's absolutely gorgeous, and there's a sense of peace when you walk through that I could understand why it would be nice to just come back and sit on the bench here and just have some nice quiet time. This is really a well-kept secret. I'm wondering, when people leave the hospital after they've had a breast procedure, do they get a little pamphlet or something about this place? It would seem to me that they should be getting something telling them that this resource is here, that you're ready, willing, and able to just jump right in and give them a hand.
We do a lot of work with a lot of the hospitals. I mean, South Nassau, which is our local hospital, really has been terrific. We have very, very good collaborations together, and they advertise, they put our programs in their local papers, and, we are pretty much all over the hospital, but public relations is expensive. And, we do the best we can. Our priority is the patient and servicing the patient. So what you're doing today and kind of our local governments, we really hope that when they have newsletters go out, that they will send a blurb out in their districts. We try as best we can through internet and services like that. There's just so much that we can do, and we've serviced close to 19,000 people since we're open. So I'm kind of afraid, we might get overwhelmed, but it's a great place. It's a fabulous place, and I think if we were open 24 hours a day, it wouldn't be enough.
Geri, everything you say about community service and pitching in, it makes me think of Maya Angelou uses an expression. She says, you can't go through life with a catcher's mitt on both hands. You got to be able to give something back. And this is a perfect example. Even looking around, high schools have community service programs. You guys would be willing, and to have anybody and everybody come on down, rake some leaves, cultivate some flower beds,
absolutely.
All of that.
We need that desperately.
Geri, what are these bricks?
These bricks were from the first group of people who helped to put this house where it is today, and a lot of this is in memory. A lot of these are very personal. I lost my son from cancer, and gets me. I'm sorry. There's a brick down there for him, and lots of people who really supported, gave us the first, money. We've donated bricks to them, and this is our gateway to hope. This is the gateway into Hewlett House, and this is the beginning. We are going to be putting arms for children and for, in memory of and honor of. We did the yellow brick road here so the kids across the street can have something to walk on. And everything really has been given great thought and with great care and great feeling, to get it moving. And it is what it is, and it's just incredible. And it's just all about, we really need a big H up there for hope.
You know what, Jerry? This has been a great experience for me. I thank you so much for spending this time with us. And as I said, everything here, from the minute I walked in the door, I could feel the warmth, I could feel the love, and most important, I could feel the hope. And you are a survivor, and you have a doctorate from the School of Hard Knocks, honey. You keep on keeping on, because you are out there fighting for everybody, doing a great job. Thank you so much.